All right, guys, welcome into a very late night edition of Will G Talking Ball. I don't know. I really don't have a name for these videos that I'm doing. I'm just posting videos. And I love it. The Commanders just walked into Ford Field and whooped the Detroit Lions' ass. A massive underdog on the road, hung 45, I believe, on their heads. An unbelievable win for Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, and Jaden Daniels, who is undoubtedly going to be Rookie of the Year. But I'm going to be selfish a little bit and not really talk so much about the game as to what this means for the Chicago Bears head coaching search. The nerves are jumping here, and they should be for Bears fans, because that loss for the Detroit Lions just sped this process up double time. After the season ended, we thought it was probably going to take a month before we could at least talk to Ben Johnson, have him in the building, and give him the opportunity to be hired by the Chicago Bears. Now, we're only a day away from us having the opportunity to bring him in the building. January 20th. It's 12:44 in the morning right now as you guys are watching this, and it's January 19th. We can have him in the building tomorrow morning. I assume Aaron Glenn is going to be in that mix as well, but in my opinion, I believe that the Bears are all in on Ben Johnson. A few others are going to get a second interview. Mike McCarthy's probably going to get a second interview. But now they have the opportunity to bring him in the building and not let him leave. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out with Vegas and how quickly they're going to be able to get him into their building for a second interview. But it's going to be a stressful work week. Now, to kind of show you the gist of everything, I have this article on Fox Sports pulled up here about what is remaining for the Chicago Bears. So as you can see here, in-person interviews with assistants who are under contract with other teams can begin on January 20th, unless those teams are still alive for the conference title game, which Ben Johnson is no longer. Those coaches must wait until January 27th, when they were either eliminated from the playoffs or have a bye week before the Super Bowl. Coaches on Super Bowl teams are not allowed to be interviewed through February 2nd, are allowed to be interviewed through February 2nd, but are forbidden from talking to other teams until February 10th, the day after the Super Bowl. So that could be interesting for somebody like Todd Monken, who is still a premier candidate for the Chicago Bears, or Joe Brady. Both of those guys. One of those guys is going to be advancing into the conference title game tomorrow. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out for the Chicago Bears. They still do need to conduct, as you can see here with the Rooney Rule, they still need to do one more in-person interview with a minority or female and candidates who do not currently work for the team. So Thomas Brown's in-person interview does not count. I know that they put in an interview request just mere hours ago to interview Eddie George. I believe that's going to be in person, which would then pass their qualification, the checklist for the Rooney Rule. So this process could be moving exponentially fast. Let's get this off the screen so I can rant here a little bit. The focus is Ben Johnson and Ben Johnson only. You don't worry about a second interview with Joe Brady. You don't worry about a second interview with Todd Monken. You do not let Ben Johnson leave the building if you have that opportunity. I would argue that you could even say maybe let him go do his second interview with Vegas first, as long as he's confirmed one with Chicago. Now, we don't know if he's going to confirm. This guy could still return to Detroit for all we know. Yeah, he's talked about how much he loves it there. He talks about how much his family loves there. He feels as if there's unfinished business. But I don't know if Ben Johnson's peak can get any higher than it is right now. We have 3 years of play calling experience. He's could coach top 5 offenses in back-to-back seasons. He's shown that he can get the most out of his quarterback and the most out of his weapons. I feel like it could only go down from here for Ben Johnson. The only question mark that remains of him is if he's a true leader of men. That's all that's yet to remain about this guy. But like I said, if you have the opportunity to hire him this week, don't worry about your second interview with Joe Brady. Don't worry about your second interview with Todd Monken. Don't worry about your second interview with Mike McCarthy. He is now your focus. It's going to be a very intense week. It's going to be a very intense week. This has sped up the process for a lot of teams because the dominoes are going to start falling the second that Ben Johnson gets hired. And I pray it's the Chicago Bears. Do I have faith that it's going to be the Chicago Bears? No. but I do think that they're a very intriguing landing spot. Caleb Williams does a lot for that. So I hope it's the Chicago Bears. I hope it's my Chicago Bears. I hope to see that we can become the team like the Commanders were today. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm hoping for my Chicago Bears. So I just want to come and give you guys a rundown on what that loss meant for the Chicago Bears. Ben Johnson can now come in for his second interview starting as early as tomorrow. It's going to be a tense week. Buckle up and bear down.